Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you're right, yeah. Another man who despises
Yeah.
our country. And if you type in Labour 25 on Google, it takes you to a website which lists all the nonces in the Labour Party. Yeah.
If we're quite willing to murder 250,000 babies in this country every year, innocent babies who've done nothing, if we're quite willing doing that, then letting old people or killing old people or dying people, killing them, is absolutely nothing.
Have you heard of a guy called Lord Hermer, the Attorney General?
I think so.
So he's been appointed he's an old buddy of Starmer,
Of course he is.
appointed to be Attorney General.
Yeah.
But apparently he's been involved in the following three things. This is before he was appointed. He represented, so he's a human rights lawyer, of course.
There's a big cross straight away.
He represented refugees, illegal immigrants, and got removed what's called the age assessment law,
Yeah.
which allows them to assess how old somebody is. Because everybody comes in and says, I'm 16. Yeah. So he managed to get that removed so they couldn't be assessed, their age couldn't be assessed. This is before. He arranged for Jerry Adams to get hundreds of thousands of pounds of compensation. Jerry Adams, who everybody knows, was the leader of Sinn Féin, suspected allegedly to be involved in a number of deaths of British soldiers.
Suspected to be one of the top generals in the IRA.
Yes, yeah. And he also pushed forward the legislation for the Chagos Islands thing as well. So he's appointed to be the Attorney General of this country, a man who hates Britain.
He's appointed a man to Attorney General who has opinions that Keir Starmer agrees with.
Yes, you're right, yeah. Another man who despises our country. So he's populating his cabinet and all the senior posts with people who despise our country.
Only despise your vision of the country.
Oh, yes.
They don't despise their vision of the country.
Yes. Well, hopefully our gentle viewers will agree that maybe my vision is slightly better than Starmer's.
I'm sure we all do, yeah.
One of our viewers referenced, when we were talking about the nonces in the Labour Party, referenced or pointed us to a website called Labour 25.
Yeah.
And if you type in Labour 25 on Google, it takes you to a website which lists all the nonces in the Labour Party. And that list now apparently is up to 76 people. I may have discussed this in a previous episode, but I just thought we'd do it. But in terms of other things going wrong, so of course the assisted dying bill, is that in law now? Is that enshrined in law now?
No, because it's more. I think it's more complicated than that. So it passed the Commons. Now it has to go to the Lords. There's several years work on it.
Right.
Then it'll come back. So it's not here yet.
But Starmer the Ponce, when he was referencing this, he said we need to do it for our Esther. So our Esther is a lady called Esther Ranson, who you may know because you're quite old.
Well, can't we just introduce her to some 17-year-old Rwandan? They can just kill her and that's the end of Esther.
But the hilarious thing is, I mean, so you're putting in legislation for the basis of one person that he knows, our Esther. So she's not a political person, she's just some stupid presenter.
Who's rich enough to fly to one of the countries in Europe to get it done.
But the hilarious thing is, she was in the papers last week talking about a new miracle cure they found for her cancer, which means she's going to live for another 20 years.
Oh, she's not allowed it. Not allowed it. No, I'm not having that. She's not allowed it.
But the hilarious thing is, this proves the point why you shouldn't have assisted dying. Because she wanted assisting dying because she thought she was going to die within a year. Now they've managed to find, whilst she's been kept alive, a cure for her condition, which means she'll live another 20 years. And despite that, they're still carrying on. So it's kind of like, just no matter what they turn their hand to, they just make an absolute mess of it.
How can it be a surprise that they're willing to bring in assisted dying when for the last 50, 60 years we've had mass abortions in this country? If we're quite willing to murder 250,000 babies in this country every year, innocent babies who've done nothing, if we're quite willing doing that, then letting old people or killing old people or dying people, killing them, is absolutely nothing. We don't value life anymore now. And once we go, well, we are going down this path, but the more we do not value life, the more poorly the state will treat us, and the more poorly we'll treat each other, because that's one of the bonuses of religion, as in it emphasizes the value of life, and everyone is equal in the eyes of God, and we've all got a soul, and we've all got intrinsic value. That's what religions teach us. We've lost religion, and now we're telling the state that none of us have got any value. And if we get some poor leaders, we've seen it in other countries, start wiping us out.
Applications for pension credit relating to the
Winter fuel allowance.
winter fuel allowance. Apparently half of them have been refused.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's only a half. I'm surprised.
So little old ladies who obviously it's quite difficult to apply, I'm sure, for it anyway.
Yeah.
You'll probably
I think someone told me it's 37 pages.
God.
37 pages.
And the hilarious thing about that is, I actually thought when I read that, you can imagine a council official working from home, turning it down. And I actually thought there's probably somebody on a beach in Barbados with a phone, some little old lady freezing to death.
You don't need heating. I'm lovely and warm here.
You don't need heating, you bastard.
Yeah.
I'll just type it in now and get back to sunbathing on my beach and wait for my golden pension, which will allow me to live here. So you've got these grotesques in the public sector vetoing, and little old ladies who probably can't take, who will honestly fill in their forms, whilst these shysters are sitting, working from home or working in France or Barbados, saying you can piss off, you bastard, you're not going to get it. That's what's happening.
That's probably happening, but it's a lot worse than that.
That sounds pretty dreadful to me.
No, it's a lot worse than that. We've discussed this before, as in this saves 1.5 billion a year. NHS have already said it's going to cost them $500 million by the extra cases of hypothermia. We're sending 5 billion. We're sending $500 million a year to foreign farmers. We're spending hundreds of billions on foreigners in this country. That's the real scandal that we can't afford, regardless if we should be giving pensions, winter fuel allowance or not. I'm not saying we should, I'm not saying we shouldn't. But if we're going to give our taxes to anyone, it should be British people who've paid into the system. But we seem to go out of our way to ensure that if you're not British, you've got a better chance of getting money off us.
Yeah.
That's the scandal.
Well, as we know, we're spending $7 billion a year on illegal immigrants.
Yep.
On illegal immigrants, not legal immigrants.
Yeah.
Illegal immigrants. There was an article in the Telegraph, a lady called Lynn M, who's a retired teacher. So somebody who's worked her entire life, who's worked hard or whatever. The article's headed up, it's -3 degrees, but I can't afford to put on the heating. So because her pension goes slightly above the limit, she's not getting her 300 quid or whatever it is this winter, which means she's got to be careful with her heating bills. It's a scandal.
It is.
Rachel Reeves, this is, I'm continuing my list of Labour being insane. Rachel Reeves is now threatening British churches. So apparently there's VAT exemption British churches have been getting for years for any repairs.
It's all religious buildings.
Yes, but mainly with those are British churches in this country.
Yeah,
So she's taking away that from them now. That's the latest. So they're now not be able to afford to do their repairs as much as they could.
Again, is it right or wrong? Should we be giving religious organisations tax breaks?
Yes, British churches.
Yeah, but then that also then applies to mosques and temples.
Well, but you might be saying, I wouldn't do that. I'd just give it to British churches.
Yeah, but it's a discussion that we need to have. But she's that desperate for money because it's all going wrong.
Yeah, but that's just a shit way of making money.
She needs every penny she can get on.
She could halve the public sector. She'll have all the money she needs.
She can't do that.
Because they're her voters.
Yep.
And finally, Starmer went to Poland to meet Donald Tusk, who talked about the reunification of Britain into the EU. And then just to top it off, he then went and posed in Auschwitz.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
he didn't just go to Auschwitz to. I know his wife's Jewish.
Yeah.
He didn't just go there to say, "I'm going to have a look around because I'm interested." He actually had a lot of photographs taken.
yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time. No, there's dozens of politicians who have done this, and they've all been slated. This makes me ask that question again. Where are his advisors? You know, the same thing happened when Nicola Sturgeon went and did the same thing. When there's been loads of politicians who have done the same things. There was a Tory politician. It might have been Priti Patel, or it might have been Suella Braverman. I think it was one of them two. And they were smiling. Nice.
Yeah, I know. Well, the pictures in Star Wars, it was almost like doing this.
Yeah, but they were like really nice smiles.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
politicians keep falling for this. I don't know
Why didn't they just go to, like, I'm sure within Auschwitz there are things written down about what happened. Why can't they just be there going like that, shaking their head, reading what's horrific? Why stand and pose in Auschwitz?
Because everybody knows what that sign says. That's the iconic photo. He should get a photo for himself if he wants it. I find that's fine.
I agree.
But it's releasing it to the press. All politicians keep falling for this mistake. Because they all get hammered when they do it.
Because
So
if he wants to see Auschwitz, if he wants publicity, why don't you just say the Prime Minister and his wife visited Auschwitz to
look at that,
yeah.
and then the nice quote about
Yeah.
we can't allow this to happen again, and
Yeah.
But stop posing in front of Auschwitz and not expecting problems.
I think he was just looking for ideas for our political prisoners. You know, what can I do with them next?
No, I think he's going to hire it. Yes, Tusk, are you thinking of renting this out?